The War Years by Viet, Thang, Nguyen. Hello, this is a video essay of The War Years by Lelaine Dangerfield. The class is World Literature English 204. Fall 2024, West Los Angeles College. The War Years by Viet, Thang, Nguyen. The War Years is a light-hearted drama that is encouraged by historical events of the Cold War between North and South Korea, Vietnam, and Japan. Another name for this war conflict is called the Pseudo-Japanese War, and it began with the onset of communism in 1890 and continued in 1936 when the Japanese attacked and took under siege in southern China. The Cold War was the name of the final conflict with communism. Some of the early Asian dynasties did not concede to the Soviet Union's demands, socialism and communist economics. The economic side of the story is quite enlightening and endearing in terms of the domestic life of the Japanese people. They don't care to follow the rules of the communists, but they did care to endear to a more socialist ocracy designed for the people. This was the belief in the Republic of China. This was the benefit of all Asians on the north and south coast of Japan and China. The story begins with a wonderful struggle amongst Vietnamese business owners who were taking full advantage of enterprise by owning their own beauty and fashion stores in the city of Saigon. The Vietnamese mother and boy's father helped run the store in the city of Saigon, Japan. Their grateful memoirs of success were beckoned to the demolishings of the wall and the separation of communism, politics, and socialism. The mother in the story discusses an enlightened interest in enterprise and freedom for businesses, marketing, and more for the Japanese. Also, it's important to notice that throughout time, they had to fight a revolution with the Chinese over communist freedom of the republic. The mother and father are reminiscent of the days of old when times were hard and the war was strong, and superior forces induced revolutionary conflict between the minds of the Japanese people and their predecessors. The Vietnamese ancestry were quite content in their socioeconomic endeavors. Today, the parents carried on and kept their boys happy with the playful chores and activities in the store. The store included military camouflage clothing within their apparel. This sparked customers and community. The people weren't afraid to come into the store and express their opinions regarding past wars and new innovations to modernize the economy. Well, the Asian wars went on for centuries over a conflict due to culture, social, economic, self-government, and government formed by communism. The North and the South Koreans fought for many years, and inevitably after the 19th century began more Cold Wars and race wars that escalated into world wars. With the final conflict of wars was World War II, conducted by Adolf Hitler. In the meantime, the Vietnamese fought previously against the North and South Koreans for what I believe to be the Republic of China. Freedom, and the people of Saigon, Japan collected and unified themselves into groups of social trust and gained some mutual standing against government rule. Also, the Vietnamese fought in favor of Republic of China and socioeconomic freedom. For the Vietnam is very crucial part in history. As the war escalated in the Vietnam War years later, it escaped even further into the United States intertangled war with Japanese, starting with the attack on United States Pearl Harbor in December of 1946. The Pearl Harbor incident was a military surprise, and Americans didn't expect the Japanese to attack their harbor. Now, it's learned through World War II and ejected the United States into one of the largest Cold War fights in the history of our planet. I believe World War II was one of the scariest periods for Americans. A conflict over culture, social economy, a history, and time progressed. Where there is a need of democracy in the republic system, and there just seemed that there was not enough unions and parties to satisfy everyone. And some of the activism stems from the hate modern groups of ethnicity. Also, the many minority groups within 7 continents of the world committed enraged atrocities on Jews, Asian Americans, typically people of color, non-Hispanics, or any other African black cultures that seem to threaten the control and domain of fascism. Many paternal orders such as Nazism, socialist parties, and any non-governmental anti-democratic imperialist movements from the past were involved. Chunam is a Sanskrit writing system formerly used to write the Vietnamese language. It uses Chinese characters to represent Sino-Vietnamese vocabulary and some native Vietnamese words. You may already notice the similarities between the Chinese and Japanese language symbols. It is symbolic, and the use of angles and brushes and accents from your local Asian quill or paint writing brush can accomplish its work. Japanese accents highlight some of the verbs and adjectives involved with sentence structure. The Asian standard large house with accented brushes and dots inside are the standard structure sentence structures for Japanese and Chinese culture. Although the sounds of these two languages can be quite different, their phonetics, the basic alphabetical characters, are quite similar. Unlike the English language, basic Asian create a script of building blocks and added dots and brushes to create a picture of sounds and letters. Bracketed enclosures comprised an entangled and puzzled view of Japanese vowels, sounds, and accents. It may be more fun and artistic to participate in Asian handwriting than it is to pronounce some of the artistic fine arts that are added to an already bodacious and vibrant architecture amongst Asian walls and temples around their land. In the best of the Asian world, the Chinese and Japanese did find some basis of nativity and heritage between their language. The pseudo-Japanese invasion struck a fiery revolution against China that was conflicted with cultural and racial disparity. The language, however, was not always the center of conflict. Some of the original early historical scripts were a combination of both Chinese and Japanese. Where some of the early historical founding monuments are located in cities, China and Japanese were dependent inversely and convoluted into Japanese heritage with China. For the birth of civilization and culture were interchangeable, thankfully, and assisted in cooling the tides between the Great Wall and the judging Pacific harbors of the Japanese peninsula. At the beginning of the story, Mother would always say to her customers, "Why haggle over the communist price? It should be the same for everyone." The Saigon market has such a variety of discount prices and merchandise, and Mother and Father's discount store businesses further intrigued the community. The people appreciated post-war modern times of a free republic and an enterprise for all the people. This versus a cold and dark subservience to the communist government. A more socialist economy brings the people in the community closer together into businesses and stores to address all the issues of the war. It was Mother and Father's duty to challenge their community and customers' beliefs and about the ideas of middle-class society, and also about the subject to question, was family growth any of its patriarchal beliefs should it stand. However, in reading the imperialism beliefs of most of the Japanese have rescinded into more of a republic today, like China. Whereas some of the China held on to a more strict imperialist government regime, the people of the republic generally will sign to what is best for the civilization socially, economically, for domestic and religious intentions. Civilization in early history usually maintains a balance between their government and religion, for the best of their people and all people in China and Asia as a whole. For all the years for now to come. And this is the end of the story of the war years.